Dear friends, let's continue T.S.Eliot's Preludes. We have already covered 3 preludes, and now we shall look at 4th prelude. That is the concluding prelude, means the last prelude. And the last prelude gets back to the first prelude. Why? Because you see, the first prelude describes a particular street in London, and now again the poet gets back to the first you can say prelude, means gets back to that very particular street. Here, this evening, again we can say that this is probably the evening time, and you see the poem begins in the evening, and now the poem ends in the evening. Here the poet or the speaker of the poem tries to show the difference, or tries to question, not you can say tries to show the difference, tries to question that man John Milton portrayed, or that man that John Milton actually describes in the Paradise Lost, and the modern man of today. How the modern man of today is so different. A man without religion, a man without belief in that religion, and the man who has been trampling that belief in the religion, that belief that sustained humanity and supported humanity. So now let's look at the 4th prelude. His soul stretched tight across the sky. So here the speaker of the poem talks about a certain soul that has stretched itself across the sky, means there is a certain soul that is spread almost everywhere in the sky, and that sky that is pervaded with a certain kind of a soul, all right, now fading just behind a city block, a particular, you can say this, a particular place with many, or a particular building with many blocks, with many flats. That very particular, just a building with so many flats, somehow does not allow us, or does not allow the speaker of the poem to have that clear-cut look of that sky that is somehow pervaded with a certain kind of soul. And this is the soul of none other than but Jesus Christ, the Savior of the mankind, who sacrificed his life for the betterment, for the welfare of the humanity. And that humanity is now trampling that belief, trampling that religion, trampling that faith that Jesus Christ brought into this world, founded in this world, and that sustained and supported the world. But if the world is crumbling, if the modern man is absolutely fragmented, why? Because he has lost his faith in religion, belief in the religion. No longer he is a religious man, he has any belief in religion. Why? Because money has become everything, power had become everything in that generation, or at that time. That was the first decade of the 20th century, and that's why here you can say that here T.S.Eliot is trying to draw a parallel line between that man that Milton describes and this humanity, this human world, how different it is, where there is a loss of their religion. Religion is breathing its last, you can say that. Religion is not dead, but slowly but surely losing its potential and power. That faith behind a city block or trampled by insistent feet. This again, see this human fragmentation of the human body. Again, this feet represents the human body. He does not describe the complete human body. He does not show the complete human body, but he describes the human body with by using this body part here this body part, feet, here the fingers, here the eyes. Again, see, he wants to show that fragmentation, that alienation, that loneliness, and it was all because of that. Scenario was absolutely different, situation was absolutely different, and it was all because of that. T.S. Eliot here wants to show that degradation that was creeping rapidly in the European country in the first decade of the 20th century, and that soon dragged the European nation into that great mass destructing this World War One. So see, here he says that, or trampled means you can say this crushed or destroyed by insistent feet, the feet that are not insistent. Simply how the men are seen moving, how the men are seen trampling, crushing those just beliefs, crushing the religion, crushing that faith, the faith they had in their religion, and the result is right in front of them, that they have lost the uniformity, they have lost that whole body system, and they are now fragmented. And that's why T.S. Eliot describes them using sometime feet, using sometime fingers, using sometime hands, using sometime you can say eyes. And in this way, here we find a beautiful use of synecdoche figure of speech, synecdoche. See, so these people, this is probably the evening time, these people are just their insistent feet are seen moving quickly at 4, at 5 and 6. See the repetition of time again to show that routine, that mechanical life. People in the first decade of the 20th century, just before the World War, were just, you can say, living or leading. They were leading a mechanical life. They were leading a routine life. That's why he repeats at 4, at 5 and 6. This repetition of the time shows the boredom, shows the monotony of their routine life. That how they woke up at a certain time, started for the just a coffee corners at a certain time, and after that started for their office, and doing the same boring action almost every day without even realizing. And the more they were doing that routine, that monotonous routine, the more they were going far away from their human traits, for their human qualities. And that's why here T.S. Eliot time and again has transferred those human qualities to those inanimate things. Why? Because humans, people, people in the first decade of the 20th century were rapidly losing their human-like qualities or their humanity. And it is all because of that. Here we see time and again that he uses the body parts to represent or to show the people at that time or to show the humanity. And short square fingers stuffing pipes. So see, what are these people busy in doing? Busy in filling. They're just a smoking pipe with tobacco for smoking, or busy in doing that same routine work of buying newspapers, just drinking, babbling, mating, just philandering and all that. And these all just things have somehow decimated their soul, decimated their individuality. And it is all because of that. They even do not realize, they do not understand what are they doing and where is their doing taking them. They're doing this routine, monotonous thing, taking them away from the humanity, taking them away from their individuality, taking them away from their religion. And the result, destruction is not far away. Definitely they will have to answer on the doomsday. They will have to give the account of their earthly life on the judgment day. So see, an evening newspapers and eyes assured of certainties. What are these eyes, miss? What are these people assured of, certain of? They are certain of their routine actions. That next day again they'll get up at that fixed time. They get up almost every day, or they have been getting for past 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and do the same they have been doing for past many years. And that monotony, that monotonous, you can say, just actions of their life or activities of their life, that T.S. Eliot wants to show how through those images, through those objective correlatives, he does not want the just a people of the 20th century straightway to speak of their monotony, their routine life, their routine actions, so on and so forth. But the images T.S. Eliot uses, these images speak volume about the monotony, about the fragmentation of the modern man, how modern man was fragmented when he uses what? The feet, when he uses eyes, when he uses hands, uses fingers. So what was modern man of the first decade of the 20th century? Sure, he was sure of his routine actions. The conscience of a blackened street, impatient to assume the world. So see, since the modern man of the first decade of the 20th century was not aware about his individuality, his routine action, his fragmentation. See how Eliot shows the inanimate object absolutely fed up, and because of being fed up, it is aware about the fragmentation of the human, aware about the loss of the humanly qualities of the human. That he shows, you see this, the conscience of a blackened street, impatient, absolutely having no patience to assume, to start the world. So see, he says that since modern man in the first decade of the 20th century had lost those qualities that separated him from the animal, separated him or distinguished him from the inanimate objects. Here Eliot has given those qualities to these inanimate things like a street, like world, this and that. I am moved by fancies that are curled around these images and cling. So he said, see, first time here we see the speaker or the poet of the poem speaking, saying that I am moved. He is greatly influenced or greatly touched by those fancies. Fancies, you know that fancies are the result of the imagination. And these imaginations are the result of those things he has seen people doing for many years. So he says, what? I am moved by the fancies that are curled around these images. So see, these images means those actions he has observed. He has observed people doing the same thing for many years, getting up at the same time, raising the dirty blinds of their windows at the same time, starting for the nearby coffee stands at the same time, doing almost the same without having a kind of understanding or desire to break this routine and break free from that monotony, because only then they can understand their individuality and they can do something, they can try something, but it is almost impossible for these people. So these images that Eliot has seen for years, now these images are well connected to those ideas and thoughts around these images and cling and see these ideas and thoughts that this poet has developed on the basis of that action or those action he has seen people doing non-stop without having the least idea to break from that monotony, break from that routine and try something new. Eliot has developed something, and on the basis of that, Eliot, the speaker of the poem, has described all these in this very particular poem. You see the notion that is the result of the understanding, notion, the idea, the notion of some infinitely gentle, infinitely suffering thing. So see, again here we have the image of what? Again we have the image of, you can say, Jesus Christ, who was so gentle, who was so innocent, like like a lamb, but so much he suffered for the welfare of the humanity, for the welfare of the people of this world. That he said, the notion of some infinitely gentle, infinitely suffering thing means again, who was so just gentle, infinitely non-stop all the life he was gentle, who? Jesus Christ. And infinitely means limitlessly he suffered. If he was crossed to nail, if he had to sacrifice and to suffer so much for what? For the betterment of the people of the world. Though he suffered a lot even then, he stuck to his gentleness, his innocence, his good qualities. So Eliot has this kind of understanding. See, because you know that in the later years, in the year 1927 around, you can say this, Eliot converted to just a Catholic, converted to Anglican. He became Anglicist. See, now here Eliot says, wipe your hand across mouth and laugh. So he says, ignore. If you wish to ignore whatever I have spoken about in this very particular poem, you can ignore it. Do not pay attention to this very particular poem, to my thoughts and my ideas that I have shared with you through this very particular poem. If you wish to take it seriously, take. If you wish to avoid it, wish to leave it, you can leave it. Simply wipe your hand across your mouth and laugh. So generally, when we are nervous, when we are not confident, we are not sure about certain thing, we begin just wipe our mouth or mop our mouth and sometimes laugh. So he says, if you are not going, if you want to ignore this very particular my poem, you can ignore it. The worlds revolve like ancient women gathering fuel in vacant lots. So he says that this world will have to follow that routine, that pattern, that cycle that ancient world followed. So he means to say that this world will go on the way the world in the ancient time went on. Just like in the ancient time, those women who had to gather wood, or who had to gather, you can say, burning wood, particularly for their sustenance, particularly for supporting, and just particularly for supporting their families. In the same manner, he means to say that this world will continually go on, continually revolve the way the world in the ancient time revolved, or the women in the ancient time just moved all about the empty land or the empty places in the search of the what? Burning wood to support their family or to sustain their family and for their life. So, in short, we can say that it seems as if here T.S. Eliot has tried to complete his circle. Just as the sun completes its circle, the earth completes its circle, just as the world is moving on, just as the world in the past time moved on, the women moved all about in the search of the fuel. In the same manner, the world will move on and on and on and on. There will be no change at all.